Ladies and gentlemen, today we gather to explore one of the most profound and intimate aspects of the human experience: how to hear the divine clearly. Many of us seek guidance, clarity, and a sense of connection beyond ourselves. At times we may feel lost in the noise of the world, uncertain of how to truly listen to the whispers of the universe, the call of something greater than ourselves. The question is, how can we hear that voice clearly? In our fast-pacing world, filled with constant distractions, finding stillness is becoming an increasingly rare and precious practice. Yet it is in this stillness that we are able to hear clearly, to connect with something greater than ourselves, and to receive guidance that can steer us through life's complexities. Stillness is not merely the absence of sound or motion. It is the creation of space in our lives where we can hear the subtle whispers of the divine. In a culture that celebrates constant action, achievement, and noise, stillness is often undervalued. However, when we allow ourselves to slow down, to pause, and to quiet the mind, we make room for clarity to emerge. The concept of stillness extends far beyond the physical realm. It's easy to think of stillness as simply a lack of movement, perhaps finding a quiet room or sitting in meditation. But true stillness in a spiritual sense is an inner quietness that goes beyond the external environment. It is about the ability to quiet the mind, to let go of mental chatter, and to bring ourselves into a place where we can be fully present in the moment. This type of stillness is a skill, a practice, and one that requires both intention and consistency. In a world where the external environment constantly demands our attention, whether through work, social media, or the expectations placed upon us, achieving stillness can seem like an impossible task. Yet, it is only in the quieting of the mind that we can truly hear. The divine, the universe, or whatever higher power we believe in, does not typically speak through loud, dramatic occurrences. Instead, it is often in the small, quiet moments that we are able to hear the most profound insights. Stillness allows us to tune in to that subtle frequency, to listen for the whispers that are easily drowned out by the noise of our daily lives. The importance of stillness cannot be overstated. We are constantly bombarded with noise, whether from the outside world or from our own thoughts. These distractions make it difficult to connect with something deeper within us. Without stillness, we become disconnected from our own intuition and, more importantly, from the guidance that is available to us. When we do not take the time to sit in silence and listen, we miss out on the opportunities for deeper connection and understanding. In the absence of stillness, we rely on our own limited perspectives, often making decisions based on fear, doubt, or external pressures rather than inner clarity. Stillness is also essential for cultivating a deeper sense of presence. When we are caught up in the rush of daily life, we often miss the richness of the present moment. Our minds race ahead to the future or dwell on the past, preventing us from fully experiencing what is happening right now. True stillness brings us back into the present, allowing us to experience life more fully without the constant pull of external demands. It allows us to be more aware of the small, beautiful moments that are often overlooked. Whether it's the sound of a bird chirping outside, the warmth of the sun on our skin, or the quiet moments of connection with others. These are the moments where the divine often speaks, but only if we are still enough to listen. Another aspect of stillness is the discipline of patience. In our modern world, we are conditioned to expect immediate results. We want things done quickly, efficiently, and with little to no delay. However, when it comes to hearing the divine or receiving guidance, patience is key. Often the answers we seek do not come instantly, and they certainly do not come on our own timetable. The divine in its wisdom operates on a different timeline, one that we may not fully understand. It may take time for the messages we receive to become clear, and it may require us to be patient and trust the process. In stillness, we must be willing to sit with uncertainty and discomfort. Sometimes, when we quiet our minds, We may be faced with our own fears, doubts, or unresolved emotions. This discomfort can be overwhelming, and our instinct may be to fill the space with distractions or to seek immediate answers. However, it is in allowing ourselves to sit with these feelings, to remain still despite the discomfort, that we create the space for transformation. Stillness requires us to trust that in time, clarity will emerge. It may not come immediately, and it may not come in the way we expect, but it will come. In addition to the external and internal benefits of stillness, it is also a practice that helps us develop a deeper sense of self-awareness. When we are still, we are forced to confront our inner world, the thoughts, emotions, and beliefs that shape our action. In the busyness of life, it is easy to avoid these aspects of ourselves. We stay busy to keep from having to face our discomforts or to distract ourselves from deeper questions. But when we take the time to sit in stillness, we are given the opportunity to examine our thoughts and to understand our deeper motivations. This self-awareness is essential for spiritual growth and for hearing the divine clearly. It is only by understanding ourselves more deeply that we can better recognize the guidance that is available to us. Stillness also provides us with the space to let go. We live in a world where we are often carrying burdens, whether they are emotional, mental, or physical. We accumulate stress, worries, and anxieties, and these things weigh us down. In the stillness, we are invited to release these burdens, to surrender them, and to trust that we do not need to carry them alone. Letting go is not always easy, but it is a necessary part of the process of hearing clearly. When we are holding on to past hurts, fears, or attachments, we are unable to receive the clarity and guidance that is available to us. By releasing these burdens in stillness, we create room for new insights and opportunities to arise. When we allow stillness to become a regular part of our lives, we begin to notice subtle shifts. We may find that we feel more connected to our intuition, more aware of the divine presence in our lives, and more open to receiving guidance. The answers we seek will no longer feel as elusive or distant, but will come to us with greater clarity and ease. As we continue to practice stillness, we will begin to hear more clearly, to understand more deeply, and to live more in alignment with the divine wisdom that is always available to us. Openness and trust are two foundational qualities that help us hear clearly the subtle messages that guide us through life. These qualities are often the key to accessing the deeper wisdom and divine guidance that many of us long for. Yet, in a world that values certainty, control, and immediate answers, being open and trusting can be incredibly challenging. We are often taught to rely on logic, reason, and evidence in decision making. And when it comes to spiritual guidance or inner wisdom, this mindset can make us doubt what we feel or intuit. However, embracing openness and trust is not about abandoning reason. It is about allowing ourselves to let go of the need for control and to make space for the unknown. Being open means allowing ourselves to be receptive to new experiences, perspectives, and possibilities. It means being willing to entertain ideas and solutions that may be outside our usual frame of reference or comfort zone. Openness requires vulnerability, as it involves accepting that we do not have all the answers, and that there may be something beyond our current understanding. It is easy to get stuck in rigid beliefs, to cling to what we know, and to resist change or new ideas. But when we remain open, we allow ourselves to grow, to learn, and to be transformed by experiences that challenge our existing beliefs. Trust plays an equally important role in the process of hearing clearly. Trust is the willingness to surrender control, to believe that there is a larger plan or purpose at work, even when we do not fully understand it. Trust is not about having all the answers. It is about having faith that the guidance we receive is leading us towards something greater than ourselves. When we trust, we let go of the need to control every outcome, and allow ourselves to be guided by forces that may be unseen but are felt deeply within us. This sense of trust requires courage, as it often involves stepping into the unknown and embracing uncertainty. For many, trust can be difficult, especially when life presents us with challenges, pain, or setbacks. It can be tempting to doubt the process when things are not going as we expect or when we are faced with uncertainty. In those moments, trust becomes a choice, a conscious decision to believe that everything is unfolding as it should, even if we cannot yet see the bigger picture. Trust is the foundation that enables us to take the next step, even when we feel unsure, and to stay committed to the journey despite the challenges that may arise along the way. Openness and trust also go hand in hand with the concept of surrender. Surrendering does not mean giving up or resigning ourselves to fate. Rather, it is the act of letting go of the illusion of control and allowing life to unfold in its own time. When we try to force things to happen, or when we are attached to specific outcomes, we can become blocked or frustrated. On the other hand, when we practice surrender, we open ourselves to the possibility that what we need is already on its way. Trusting the timing of life is a key aspect of surrender. We may not always understand why things happen the way they do, but by trusting that there is a larger purpose, we can find peace in the unknown. Another important aspect of openness is the ability to listen with an open heart. Listening is not just about hearing words. It is about being fully present and receptive to the deeper meaning behind what is being communicated. To truly listen, we must be free from judgment, distraction, and preconceived notions. We must approach each moment with a sense of curiosity and humility, acknowledging that we do not know everything and that there is always more to learn. When we listen with an open heart, we create the space for deeper connection, whether it is with another person, with ourselves, or with the divine. In the same way, trusting requires us to believe that the messages we receive are meant for our highest good, even if they do not immediately make sense. Sometimes the guidance we receive may feel unexpected or even uncomfortable. It might challenge our beliefs, push us out of our comfort zones, or lead us in directions that we did not anticipate. But when we trust the process, we are acknowledging that we do not need to know everything up front, and that our growth comes from being willing to take steps, even when the path is unclear. Openness and trust are essential when it comes to receiving divine guidance. The messages that come to us from a higher power are often subtle, and they do not always fit into the box of our expectations. The divine speaks not in loud, clear commands, but in quiet nudges, feelings, and impressions that require us to be alert and attuned to their presence. If we are closed off, unwilling to listen, or afraid to trust, we may miss the very guidance that we seek. Openness allows us to remain receptive to the myriad ways in which the divine speaks to us. It is a reminder that guidance can come in many forms: through dreams, through intuition, through the words of others, or even through the circumstances of our lives. Trust ensures that no matter how the guidance comes, we will remain open to receiving it. The process of cultivating openness and trust requires patience and practice. It is not something that happens overnight, and it is not always easy. Our fears and doubts may rise to the surface, questioning the wisdom we receive or making us second guess ourselves. Yet, every time we choose to stay open and trust, we reinforce these qualities within ourselves, gradually allowing them to become a natural part of who we are. Just as with any practice, the more we nurture openness and trust, the more we will find ourselves able to hear clearly, to receive guidance, and to navigate our lives with greater ease. It is also important to recognize that openness and trust are not passive. They require action. To be open is not just to wait for guidance to come. It is to actively seek it out, to be curious, and to remain present. Similarly, trust is not about being passive or complacent. It is about making a choice to trust the process, even when we cannot see the end result. The more we practice these qualities, the more we will find that they become part of the very fabric of how we live our lives. And as we continue to cultivate openness and trust, we will find that hearing clearly becomes not just an occasional experience, but a natural part of our everyday life. As we have explored the journey of hearing the divine clearly, we have seen how critical certain practices and qualities are in creating the space for clarity and understanding to emerge in our lives. The path is not always straightforward, nor is it always easy. It requires us to engage in both internal and external practices, such as stillness, openness, and trust, that challenge our conventional ways of thinking and being. These qualities are not developed overnight, but through consistent effort, mindfulness, and a willingness to surrender to something greater than ourselves. It is through cultivating these practices that we begin to tap into the deeper wisdom and guidance that has always been available to us, but that often gets drowned out by the noise of daily life. Stillness is one of the most powerful tools we can employ in our spiritual journeys. It allows us to quiet the distractions that pull us away from deeper awareness and to connect with the subtle whispers of guidance that are often overshadowed by the constant noise of the world. When we allow ourselves the time and space to simply be still, to reflect, to listen, and to receive, we create the conditions for divine clarity to emerge. This practice of stillness isn't just about finding peace in a moment of silence. It is about intentionally stepping away from the rush of life in order to connect with something beyond our immediate concerns. When we embrace stillness, we allow ourselves to return to a place of clarity where we can hear the messages that have always been there, waiting for us to listen. However, even stillness alone is not enough. We must also cultivate openness and trust. To truly hear clearly, we must be willing to let go of rigid expectations and preconceived notions. We must open ourselves to new perspectives, new ideas, and new possibilities. Often the messages we receive are not in the form we expect. They may come as fleeting thoughts, gut feelings, subtle signs, or unexpected events that challenge us to think differently. If we are closed off, resistant, or fearful, we may miss these messages, as they often do not arrive in ways that fit neatly into our plans. Therefore, we must embrace an openness to the unknown, a willingness to step into uncertainty with faith that the guidance we receive is for our highest good. The more open we are, the more readily we can discern what is being communicated to us. Trust is the natural companion to openness. When we trust the process, we let go of our need to control every aspect of our journey. We surrender to the wisdom that is available to us, even when it does not align with our expectations or desires. Trust allows us to move forward with faith that, although we may not always see the full picture, the divine guidance we receive will lead us where we need to go. Trust is not blind faith. It is a deep knowing that, even in times of uncertainty, the right path will unfold before us, piece by piece. It is through trusting the process and the guidance we receive that we can remain open to the possibilities that lie ahead without forcing or manipulating the outcomes. In the practice of stillness, openness, and trust, we also find a deep sense of patience. It is easy to become frustrated when we feel lost or unclear about the direction we should take. We may want immediate answers, immediate clarity, and a direct roadmap to our destination, but spiritual guidance rarely operates on our timeline. Often we must wait, reflect, and trust in the divine timing of things. The answers we seek may come gradually, sometimes over weeks or months, as we are guided step by step rather than all at once. Patience allows us to sit with the uncertainty, to let the guidance unfold as it is meant to, and to avoid rushing the process. It is in these moments of patience that we are truly tested, and it is often during these times that we experience the most growth. At the same time, these practices of stillness, openness, and trust are not passive. They require active engagement from us. They ask us to be present, to listen attentively, and to remain receptive to whatever comes our way. They ask us to be vulnerable, to trust when we feel unsure, to stay open when we are tempted to close ourselves off, and to be still when everything inside of us urges us to act. It is easy to get caught up in the demands of daily life, to fill our schedules with noise and activity, and to lose sight of the deeper calling that resides within. But when we make the conscious decision to engage in practices that nurture our ability to hear clearly, we transform our lives. We move from a place of confusion and doubt to a place of alignment and clarity. Ultimately, hearing the divine clearly is not just about receiving guidance, it is about transforming the way we live. It is about stepping into a way of being that is more aligned with our true selves and with the greater purpose for which we are here. When we hear clearly, we are better able to navigate life with confidence, grace, and a deep sense of peace. We no longer have to rely solely on our intellect or external circumstances to make decisions, because we are guided by an inner wisdom that transcends the limitations of our immediate understanding. This wisdom guides us toward our highest good and helps us create a life that is in harmony with the divine. It is important to remember that this process is ongoing. We are constantly learning, evolving, and refining our ability to hear clearly. Some days may be easier than others, and sometimes may feel more challenging. There may be moments of doubt or confusion along the way. However, it is through our commitment to practices like stillness, openness, and trust that we continue to refine our connection to the divine. Each time we choose to embrace these practices, we strengthen our ability to hear clearly and to live in alignment with a greater purpose. Hearing the divine clearly is not something that happens once and then is done. It is a continuous process of deepening our connection, refining our listening, and strengthening our trust. It is a journey that requires patience, faith, and persistence. But it is also a journey that brings with it immense peace, fulfillment, and understanding. By cultivating stillness, remaining open to new possibilities, and trusting the process, we can hear more clearly and live more fully. Each step we take on this path brings us closer to our true selves and to the divine guidance that is always available to us. It is through this journey that we find our way, and it is through this journey that we can truly live a life of purpose and peace.